Oh, shit. First thing that you hear. What up, guys? What up?
Do they even remember who we are?
No, no one remembers who we are.
There's no way that's even going to be on the stream because all our regular people probably think we died.
Because we did die, or at least I did. I died and had to succumb to the workforce again.
No, that's not true. So, guys, we've been experimenting with new content. Bobby had a real talk with me, and he demanded that we only do these after shitty movies because Bobo only likes shitty movies. And so, like John Wick 4. Have you seen John Wick 4 yet, buddy? He refuses. He doesn't want to watch it. It's a good movie. No, he hates good movies. He has no time for good movies, people. Across the Spider-Verse, he watched it, enjoyed it, didn't want to do a stream on it. Nope.
No, I really haven't had the time, and I even bailed on the stream last night because the two things that the movie was longer than I thought it was, and I was just running out of energy. Look, by the way,
I think Blue Chew would help with that if you want to sponsor us, guys.
What'd you say? What would help with that?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Blue Chew. You don't know what Blue Chew is?
Blue Chew?
Yeah. Have you been single for that long? What does Blue Chew sound like?
Blue Chew. Oh, wait, Viagra?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard that term. Whoa. I've never heard that term.
You got to watch more YouTube, buddy. They sponsor everybody that has a pulse on YouTube.
Blue Chew.
Yeah, my brother made a good bit of money on Blue Chew. Yeah.
I just never heard it called Blue Chew before.
Well, that's their name. That's their brand name.
Oh, so it's a other type
of gum.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah. So okay. You chew one gum to get the other gummy looking thing up. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. I'm shit. The next time I decide to get involved with a woman, which will be a while.
It'll be a while because you're gonna take them to see these shitty movies. What's up, Derpy?
Oh, Derple. What's going on, dude?
Good to see you. Hey, Derpy, we were just talking about how it's all Bobo's fault.
Look, by the way it's been looking lately, I could understand why you would think that we're only going to do, these kind of mediocre movies. Like, do I think Shazam Fury of the Gods was like an amazing movie? I don't, but I enjoyed it.
Son, Shazam Fury of the Gods almost ended our friendship. I almost sued Bobo for war crimes by making me go to see that movie. He didn't make me go see it, but we decided to streamline it. I
don't think you would have seen it if I wouldn't have said that we're going to do a stream on it.
There's a multiverse where you didn't want to do a stream on it, and I'm a happier person. I probably won the lottery. And the world is fixed because I didn't go see that movie.
Well, look, I'll give you this. It didn't do well in the box office. So you're not the only one that doesn't think that movie was good.
I know.
With that being said, this movie we're about to talk about, The Flash, was extremely hyped up for a while.
For good reasons and bad reasons, it made a lot of news.
Let me just ask you this: Do you think that it was worth the wait, or we got robbed?
Well, my anticipation for this movie died as soon as I watched Shazam 2. All jokes aside, like that movie was so bad that I realized that I'm never going to get a good movie out of DC, and also Black Adam contributed to that, right? And honestly, in some ways, that kind of helped this viewing experience because I'm going to trash this movie a lot, just spoilers, but I didn't hate it. I walked to that theater, I was like, okay, this is like the Chinese food of movies, like the Panda Express of movies. Like, it got the job done for 2.5 hours. I'm going to forget about it. It's going to leave my stomach like it never existed. That's an old Peter David joke for all you comic book fans. This movie will ultimately be forgettable, right? Like, I think in 6 months' time, we're barely remembering this movie. But with that being said, I didn't hate my life while I was watching it.
I disagree on we'll be barely talking about this movie simply because of the whole Michael Keaton thing. It was sort of like more of like an event movie rather than a movie. You know what I'm saying?
I got some talking points about that.
But people were going to see it because a lot of people were just going to see it because he was in it. You know what I mean?
This was like, in all the ways that No Way Home worked for their cameos, this movie failed for its cameo with Michael Keaton. Because it pretty much seemed like Michael Keaton came in there, just mailed it in, said all the lines he needed to say, except for, he just say, I'm Batman. Let's get nuts. Like, it's just like, hey, let's play the hits. And let's give some half-ass reason as to why he's Batman, even though he's 85 or whatever.
Okay. So check this out. Like, I thought that the conversation that he had with them in the beginning, and he was talking about how, like, maybe some things are just the way they're supposed to be. These inevitable timelines. Some of them are just, this is how it needs to be. The same thing that Batfleck said to him, which I got some talking points about that.
Oh yeah. Well, we should talk about the opening of the movie. Why don't we say this, Michael Keaton? You can make a point. I'll let you finish this point.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is that I liked a lot of what he had to say. I liked the Michael Keaton fun of it. I liked it when he was helping him out, especially when it was the Batman times, even though it was all CG Batman for the most part. But I do think that they made him not the Bruce Wayne we knew in the original movie. Even though the house was there and all this stuff was there, they made him a little dumb in a weird way. And I didn't like that.
Yeah, I figured you as a Batman fan would hate it. So let's talk about the opening scene, as I like to call the opening scene, Flash, Love and Thunder.
But it was funny, though, and it worked. And I think that it was...
There was funny parts of this movie. The opening scenes, for me, missed all the comedy marks.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, the baby part. I liked the baby part.
That was terrible, man.
No, it made me laugh.
That was so hack. But those writers were like, okay, we need to make Flash seem really heroic. Who can he... babies. Let's make him rescue babies. Ooh, you know what'd be hilarious? Let's put a baby in the microwave. It's so stupid, man. No, it's the hackiest of hack writing.
The acid and then just the scalpels flying. For me, at one point, I was like, oh, my God. And I found myself giggling and laughing, and I think that's what they were going for.
All right, you want to talk about disrespecting Batman? Ben Affleck's Batman is clearly an idiot. He's the dumbest strategist of all time.
This is not the same Batman that was in the Snyder Batman. Sorry. Even though it's supposed to be, this was not the same one. It just wasn't.
Batfleck, why are you the one chasing after the speeding car? Why not the fastest freaking man alive? You know what? Flash didn't even need you. Flash could have run down those guys in a speeding car, made it back to the hospital, and rescued all those babies. He moved at the speed of light. Why are you even here? What are you even doing here? You just embarrassed yourself. You're
not wrong at all. I mean, that is logistical, for real. That is. Look, I think what I got out of this movie, my favorite parts of this movie, were the sort of deeper, richer parts of it that weren't the superhero elements, that weren't the going fast Flash, that weren't the dun-da-da-da. I liked it that I was more invested in Ezra's performance as Barry, which at the end of the day, he's a weirdo, dude. I'm not going to deny that. But so was Tom Cruise for a long time. This guy did some weird shit as he's coming of age and everything. I'm going to give him a shot to get his life together. I'm not going to sit here and say that I want him around me. I wouldn't trust my family members around him, but as an entertainer, I'm going to give him a shot to get his life together. And with that being said, I do think as Barry, he did do a really good job in this movie.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go see this movie, you're already giving that shot. Like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, and you're not wrong saying that. But I think the people that are watching this movie have already moved past that. I mean, it is what it is. If he screws up, people will look back at this movie and they're going to look at with a little bit of cringe, knowing that he started this movie if he doesn't get his life together.
Well, hey,
if he does, hey, Hollywood's buried a lot bigger skeletons than what they'll bury for him.
And Hollywood loves a comeback. So I tell you what, though, when he was taking the Supergirl, I was just like, familiar territory, huh, Ezra?
Yeah, exactly. She was good in this movie, even though she didn't have a lot of good dialogue. She looked great. She got the costume.
She's got a great look about her. I believe her. Sorry, Helen Slater, but I believe this way more as a Supergirl than I ever believed you. So,
you know what's a good point? I should look up this video. This one YouTube creator did this great video on the problem with the CW Supergirl and how it's not Supergirl, because Supergirl in the comics is supposed to give you a different character feel from Batman. She came here as a teenager. She doesn't have any affinity for humans. In fact, she finds them kind of repulsive. She rescues them because ultimately she's a good person at heart. She knows she's got these powers. Her cousin tells her to do the right thing, so she's going to do it.
Smallville did a decent job of their depiction of Supergirl.
Right, yeah. It's a little bit more like that, right? Like, she's a little bit angrier. She's got a lot more angst. She doesn't really particularly love humans. Eventually, she does come to love them, but that's part of her journey as a character. The CW Supergirl was just Superman in a skirt.
She was a sweetheart. Same thing with the
She was
Supergirl.
she was the exact same person as Superman, right?
Same thing
Exact
with
same
Helen
character,
Slater.
right? And Helen Slater, you're right. Exact same thing as Superman. This was the first time we got that angsty Supergirl. I wish we had taken a lot less time for a lot of the other plot details. Like, why did Barry have to lose his powers? You know, we could
Yeah.
have taken that time and just focused on Supergirl and her journey, and it becomes a better movie.
I agree.
I make fun of these superhero movies a lot for parental issues, and this one has more parental issues. But it could have worked, especially it did work for the most part. It could have worked even better if you have Supergirl going through her issues as well. It could have given it a little more emotional weight to the movie.
I 100% agree. And I think that as soon as I saw, okay, not only do we have the stereotypical, oh, he loses his powers. How many times have we seen this?
Mm-hmm.
That happens. But then you also have like just the sort of like stereotypical, oh, he can't get a break. He's misunderstood. He's always showing up late. And it's just like, how many times are we going to see you paint this same little formula over Peter Parker, all these things, you know what I mean? Clark Kent even, faking being late and can't get his stuff together, even though that's supposed to be a facade. At some point, though, I want to see a different origin and development of a character. And to me, I couldn't help but feel I'd seen this 1,000 times with all the stuff.
CW Flash, the same reasons. Always late. You move at the speed of light. If you're late, warp speed over to your office and act like you were there the whole time. Nobody would know. Like, what do you mean I was late? I just came out of my office, homie. I wasn't late. Stupid. You're late.
Yeah. And yeah. I definitely see what they were doing with the whole Reverse Flash thing. But it's the same thing they did with this whole like changing Absorbent Man into David Banner, and he was Bruce Banner's father. That wasn't the way it was in the comics, but they took their hybrid of it.
I think this is a different character. I'm blanking on the name of this Barry Allen, the evil Barry Allen. Let me look it up real quick. But that's not supposed to be the Reverse Flash.
But they definitely focused on the yellow, So that was why I was thinking that they were, as far as this jacket and his headphones.
I thought it looked more blue, and if I'm thinking correctly, that's a God. I wish I could remember the name of it. But go on. Well, I'm looking it up, and you can kind of go make your point.
And maybe I'm wrong. I thought that this was a hybrid version of Reverse Flash for the DCEU or something. I could be wrong. They might have a Reverse Flash in store, but I wasn't really aware of what this character was. I knew that there was another Barry Allen, but this is not, obviously this is not the way the Flashpoint storyline went. They took elements from it, but this is not the way it went.
Right. Yeah. This. Well, part of the elements they did take from it, Barry Allen losing his powers was part of Flashpoint. I feel like that's why they put it in there. But that Barry Allen, that timeline, there's not two of them, if I remember correctly.
No, there's one, right? There's not. I do think that I feel like that there was a reverse one though, but there's not two of them. But Superman's evil, Wonder Woman's like Rogue, and then Batman is Thomas Wayne.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which
I really thought that they were gonna go that direction. They were trying to just fool the audience with all the Bruce Wayne talk, and I was kind of disappointed when he was like, "Yeah, I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm just older." It's like, God.
Yeah, but they also were wanting to take advantage of like showing you like the TVs that you knew. Like, remember when they showed the room where it's like King of the Wicker People, where it had like Vicky Vale and what's his name walking down and looking at all the different statues at the beginning of like they showed all these rooms that were they wanted to give you fan service like a motherfucker in this movie, and they did. With this whole mansion and everything. And then like when the Batwing is flying and using the hooks on the planes and taking turns, it's like, oh, there they go. And then how much do you weigh? And all, they fan serviced the hell out of it.
Yeah. That's why it didn't feel like a true character. It didn't feel like Michael Keaton's Batman.
It didn't feel like the Batman we knew from the Tim Burton movies.
It just felt like a guy cosplaying. It felt like Michael Keaton just going through the motions once again.
It did. It really did. But I didn't think he was a bad. I didn't think he was a bad actor necessarily in it, and it's not like I was not believing his lines or anything. It was just that it just felt kind of the way that Tobey Maguire felt in No Way Home for a minute, like when he steps through and he's like, "Hey guys."
Yeah,
that kind of felt like, wait a minute. Garfield was working out perfectly, but by the time they're in the lab and they're all working together, it was beautiful. It was gold. It was funny dialogue. And then when they're all like swinging off in different directions, you're like, oh shit. And you got some of that in this movie, but at the end of the day, I did like the pacing of it. And I did like that. I did find myself like, all right, man, they're keeping this going. And then like, oh, wow, now they're doing this and they're going to start trying to turn back time. And I did really enjoy the familiarity of it. I just wish they would have made him darker, Batman darker. And the CG, we haven't even talked about that yet.
Oh, God. Yeah, this movie's getting... By the way, just a quick shout out, even though we only have 0 people watching this. If you guys want some good Twitter follows, 2 Twitter accounts that have gained a lot of steam for breaking a ton of news, and in fact, other major news publications have started retweeting their stuff, is My Time to Shine Hello and Can We Get Some Toast? They broke all this Flash news. They had the cameos months ago. They had all this stuff months ago. I bookmarked it, but I didn't look at it until after I watched the movie, and I went back and looked at some of their stuff. By the way, they've seen early reviews of Aquaman 2, and they don't have good things to say.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't have good things to say about the first one.
Yeah, Aquamom, as I like to call it, because she's a real hero.
And I like James Wan, so. But you know me, man, I'm also a visual guy, so.
Yeah, so they had put out tweets about the VFX looking bad, and the VFX are getting ripped online by a lot of critics because I thought it all looked bad, especially those CG cameos, which were terrible.
Yeah, those all like that definitely was a painted movie at the very end for sure with all the CG cameos. And, one of my buddies was like, man, they couldn't throw us a little Brandon Routh love.
Yeah. What's up with that?
But technically he's supposed to be the same Superman as Christopher Reeves, isn't he?
Oh, that's true. Also, Bryan Singer's a little problematic.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the Adam West thing was cool. Like, all that was cool. But you're right. I mean, it definitely became a little bit of a painted movie. But the action CGI and all that stuff, none of that really bothered me. Okay, when you saw Christopher Reeves and Helen Slater, that kind of looked like a cutscene in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Same with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it does. It's not like I'm sitting here and being like, look how no, they worked on it, but it doesn't look real. Like it doesn't look like a real movie that we've been watching. But I thought that the effects while they were fighting and all that were fine. But boy, when Barry Allen is talking to himself, and there's a couple times, or even some of the times where Flash is talking to Batman at the end when they're out in the middle of the desert and everything, and there's close-ups on Barry's face, and it is like that Superman bad CG at the first Justice League movie that everybody's dogging on. Like it's really like, I'm like, what's wrong? And I have to believe that they were doing some reshoots and stuff, and Ezra just was nowhere to be found.
Doug, you just remind me of something when you talk about the desert, because I was thinking, they didn't set this in the city where there was a lot of mass death, and I wonder if they did it on purpose. But there was a Chekhov's gun moment. They opened up where Barry Allen's talking about how he came to Metropolis when Superman and Zod fought. He tried to rescue this one kid's dad.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it. Then they show that kid and his dad again, and then you never see them. You don't know if they survive or what happens. Like, right. I was expecting Barry to go rescue them, and nothing happened.
Yeah, I was kind of like expecting him to like scratch that off of his sort of regret list. Like, I was able to do it, Well,
I guess that dad died again,
Look, there was a lot going on in this movie. I mean, they bit off a lot. If they would have started adding more actual essential characters to the plot, like adding more people to the actual plot, then it would have started feeling like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 and stuff like that, where it's just like too many villains, too many everything. But I think that they did that okay. A lot going on in this movie, and it was a lot to cram, and I feel like it was closer to 3 hours.
Does it not strike you as weird as how this Flash movie, the first major movie for the Flash, didn't have a Flash villain?
Yeah, but it doesn't fully strike me as weird because our Flash villains, all that, like, do we know? And here's another thing. I don't really know of a lot of Flash villains because most of the time I read the Flash is with the Justice League.
Well, I mean, Flash villains, most hardcore comic book fans think he has the best rogues gallery because there's a little bit of duality with the Flash villains. Like they possess a certain code and nobility, despite the fact they're villains, with the exception of Reverse Flash, who's a terrifying villain, right? Because he can manipulate time. He's as fast as the Flash, maybe even faster. So, yeah, I mean, you have a pretty thick rogues gallery to draw upon, and we chose General Zod as your villain. And Michael Shannon's General Zod was widely panned, because he's kind of a guy that just gets his ass kicked a lot.
Well, you mean like a lot of people didn't like Zod?
A lot of people did not like his portrayal of Zod. And I don't. Michael Shannon's a great actor, but that version of General Zod is just a punching bag. Like he even gets beat up by a scientist at the beginning of the movie. A guy who's genetically bred just for science beats his ass at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't.
He's supposed to be the super soldier of all super soldiers in Krypton, and Jor-El whips his candy ass.
Yeah, this is definitely some like comic book store type discussion. You know, this is like getting onto the power. No, I'm not. I'm being.
It's not even power scaling. Like if they didn't make it a point to say, hey, listen, Kryptonians are just bred for specific purposes, then I'd be like, yeah, Jor-El whips his ass. Jor-El, Superman's dad's badass. But when you're sitting here telling me like Jor-El's specifically engineered genetically to be a scientist, this guy's specifically engineered genetically to be the ultimate soldier, and the scientist jumps off dinosaurs or jumps off buildings onto flying dinosaurs like he's freaking Laura Croft, and then he beats down the ultimate soldier.
Yeah, but couldn't one argue that his intellect is what makes him outsmart even his fighting style?
What intellect? He just straight up throttles the dude. He like Jackie Chan's him. There's no intellect. It's not like he's like doing calculus and like,
I'm saying
pushing a pillar that knocks down another pillar that hits him in the head. It's none of that. He just boxes him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he was smarter and he was able to.
All right, we're gonna have a fight. We're gonna get two fighters. I'm gonna sponsor a badass fighter. You pick some brainy nerd, and we'll see who wins.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that they never said that they only engineered people to only do this, and they had no other this. This is all they're capable of is computer.
I think they kind of did though.
I think that they said that they engineered people to thrive and be better at certain things than others, but that doesn't mean that I can't bet someone that's better than me.
That's the whole point of the movie. Superman, that's the thing that he represents, is somebody who's free to choose his own path. The other people are engineered for their path. So you're engineered to be a scientist, you're going to be a scientist. It's almost communism versus democracy, right? So like this is you, this is what you're supposed to be, and you're not even born. You're created, right? You're created from genetics to be a certain thing. That's all you're meant to be.
No, Superman. I don't take it that way, because what if they were to have to defend their family? I think they'd be smart enough to at least give them some sort of fighting skills, so in case someone attacked their family, they could at least defend them.
But you're in a utopic society.
Punch.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the movie, though. The whole point of the movie, Zod's whole beef with Superman. They spell it out. I'm not just making this up. Like they spell it out in the movie. If you go rewatch it.
No, I guess I understand that. I guess what I'm saying is I never thought of it as that they were, when they engineered Jor-El, all they did was, all you can do is do statistics. You can't even throw a punch. You don't even know what that means. I don't think they engineer them that way. I think they still they have things and instinct and intuition. And so I think that just like David can beat Goliath by his intellect.
That's why? Okay, so it's not about knowledge. Yeah, you know how to throw a punch, fine. You're genetically engineered to be a scientist. The other guy genetically engineered to be a soldier. There's certain physical aspects that go into being a soldier that do not go into being a scientist. And an advanced technique of fighting that the soldier would learn. The scientist is not going to be the soldier. 1 million times out of 1 million times, the soldiers can beat the shit out of the scientist. That's just a fact. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, okay. We're talking about a fictional movie, though, on.
Yeah, but the point of the fictional movie, they make it a point to say, hey, listen, our society is considered a utopia because people have their roles, and that's what they do. And the Superman's different.
You're right. I just didn't see it that way. It doesn't bother me on that level. So like I had fun with the way it all went down. I didn't go into the movie to kind of pinpoint that. I liked the take on this new Jor-El, this new Krypton. I was kind of enamored by stuff. To me, it didn't focus so much on that for me to be like, why are they shoving this down my throat?
Well, okay, let's throw that aside. Let's just say it this way. When you introduce a villain and he's getting his ass kicked on the very first scene and he continues to get his ass kicked throughout the movie, it doesn't make the villains impactful. One of the things that made Vader terrifying is the first time you see him is he's waxing everybody, right? So that's another reason why people aren't as fond of the Michael Shannon General Zod, is because he doesn't come off as threatening, because he doesn't ever seem like a credible threat until the very end of the movie where he starts to get the upper hand a little bit and then he gets his neck broke.
So do you think Terrence Stamp was more threatening?
I think Terrence Stamp, yeah, because they save that confrontation for the very end of the movie, right? And Superman's nowhere to be found, and they're running amok. They're taking over the world. They take over the White House, right? They conquer America. They do all these things while Superman is nowhere to be present. And then eventually he has to separate them and trick them to defeat them. So they do come off as threatening.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that he's just as threatening in this one because I feel like Clark is pretty still a naive Boy Scout in the Man of Steel. And so I think that he's like, "Where are you? I'll show my face." And I don't know, man. It worked for me. It's. I never saw these things that really you're bringing to light. It just never was something that stood out to me.
Okay, well, we'll disagree on that. I do still think it's a misstep to do a Flash movie without a Flash villain.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised now that you're saying it that the villain that's in there isn't like a actual Flash villain because I don't know the Flash rogues that well. I never really, like I said, I only really read Flash when he was with Major Events or Justice League. Not that I didn't like the character. I just at some point I can only read so much. But I really honestly thought that was their take on Reverse Flash. But it's something else.
Yeah, I think it's the future Barry, and I looked for his name, I couldn't find it. But there's a future version of Barry that is blue, and he's kind of corrupted because he keeps going to the future and keeps screwing up. That's what I thought it was because I saw that villain. He had the stuff sticking out of him, and it gave him that blue tint. I think that's what they're making homage to. I didn't see Reverse Flash. I didn't see any of the telltale signs of the Reverse Flash.
And what does the Reverse Flash actually do? Is it like Bizarro?
He's part of taps in the reverse. So there's been two. There's Eobard Thawne, who's a more classic Reverse Flash. And then the crazier one, I don't know why his name is escaping me, because a lot of people like him better because he's a true psychopath. But Eobard Thawne's the one that's been portrayed the most in live action Flash movies. So let me go ahead and look at Reverse Flash real quick. Professor Zoom would be the other one.
That's the one that I've always remembered the name of.
Yeah. So he can tap into the reverse speed force, which comes with different powers. Technically, he's a little bit faster than Flash. And he's got certain other attributes to his powers that make him a little bit different, make him a little more threatening. Usually he's handing the Flash's ass most of the time. Well, Hunter, God dang.
That's how it seemed in the show. I never watched the show, but anytime I always saw like any sort of trailers with the Reverse Flash in there, he was always just whooping up Flash.
Yeah, he is. He's usually working the Flash. He's a pretty like I said, pretty intimidating villain because it's like the Flash but evil. I mean, he can do all the things a Flash can do and a little bit better. So,
well, it's rumored that James Gunn and Ezra have slightly buddied up. I don't think that he's going anywhere.
I mean, once again, it really depends on him, right?
Well, yeah, obviously if he keeps his nose clean. But what I'm saying is that I think that I kind of felt like that they were just going to try to slowly phase him somehow. But I feel like that James is going to keep using him. And I feel like there's going to be more Flash movies.
I don't know, man. I mean, they got to start making money at some point. Hunter Zolomon was the other guy I was looking for, the other Reverse Flash.
So Rise of the Beast made money. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't even watch the movie. I refused.
It did like 119 opening weekend.
Yeah, what did it do the second weekend though?
Oh, I'm not sure.
That's the thing is like Black Adam made a lot of money its opening weekend, if you remember correctly, and then it dropped off.
Well, they just weren't expecting this at all. Even Paramount was like, "Whoa!"
Like people love those Transformers movies, man. They're just like people love those Fast and Furious movies.
I didn't see Fast 10 yet, or Fast X. I saw Transformers though. It was parts of it I adored, and then parts of it I actually really hated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like there was all the robot stuff was cool because they're finally like giving us what we wanted to see that we always saw as kids. It looks like it really is just like, oh, those are the robots that I saw transform, and that's what they look like.
Yeah.
But the human characters, they're starting to handle those characters like they handle them in the Godzilla movies. Like,
yeah, I was about to ask you if it's like the Godzilla movies because it's like the Godzilla vs. King Kong. That movie, I was like, why is Eleven in this movie? What does she do? This is a waste of my time. All her scenes in this movie. Like, I know Millie Bobby Brown's a huge star, and
That's
that's
all
great
that
that
it
you
was
had her.
there for. That's all
Yeah,
they were using her for, is her face and her,
yeah,
and they just so they honestly they were just using her so they could get her in the trailer to make you think, oh yay, and then you see the movie and she's barely in it in both of them.
yeah. It's like Zendaya from the Dune movies.
Well, apparently she's like the main part of the second one, from what I understand. Which, look, the second trailer for Dune looks cool, but there was just something missing from that first one, man. Just something. It just didn't seem like anything new from the original movie, except for visually it looked better. They didn't. They just.
Yeah, man. Listen, Dune is it's a lot for that source material to adapt that source material.
Yeah, I
A lot of
understand.
people say that about Watchmen. Yeah, I know. When I first saw Zack Snyder's Watchmen, I enjoyed it. Then I went back and read the book, and I realized, like, oh, all the important plots the book tries to make are not in Zack Snyder's
Not really,
Watchmen at
yeah,
all.
he
Yeah,
he nailed a good, like, he basically what he did is put the Watchmen storyline into one big music video.
yeah, he made it into
You
a
know what I mean?
superhero movie where it's supposed to be a parody of superhero
Yeah,
kind of movies.
like even the
Not a
way
parody is a bad word to look at, but deconstruction, right?
yeah, no, yeah, I know what you meant, but yeah,
Yeah.
more of a deconstruction about like, oh, really superhero. I mean, Rorschach is like the epitome of that.
Yeah, they're all messed up, flawed individuals.
Yeah, they're not really good people, even
No.
like, especially like Ozymandias. I mean, he is God. He thinks he's God, but he kind of is, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a whole other discussion. But you're right. I mean, turning that into a comic book or into a movie, like if they would have said, "Hey, we're going to make an HBO show out of the Watchmen comic," that would have been awesome, because that's the only way you can truly tell that story, is to have like 12 episodes.
I liked the series, the HBO series. It turned a lot of people off because it has social commentary, but then also so did the comic book, you
Oh,
know?
no, it was a true continuation of the comic book, and
Yeah.
they executed that well.
People are like, Watchmen, the HBO made Watchmen woke. I'm like, have you met Alan Moore?
Have you,
Like, you don't get much more left than that guy.
dude? All these people saying that only watched the movie. They did not read the comic.
Yeah,
If you read the comic, you liked the show, straight up.
for sure, for sure.
I've not met one person who loves that original graphic novel or that original series. I say graphic novel because that's actually how I read it, but it was a 12-issue series.
Yeah.
Anybody who loves that loved the show.
Okay. Any more points you got about Flash? I mean, I feel like we're leaving a lot on the table, but also like, once again, I think this is a movie that I listen. Once again, I did walk out theaters like, okay, I didn't hate that. I kind of enjoyed it, but once again, I don't think I'm unless Ezra Miller does something to make us talk about him. I'm not gonna talk about this movie.
Look, I am gonna go try to see it again. I think because my stepdad is going to want to go see it, so it might be a Father's Day thing. For some reason, The Flash resonates with like older dudes. You know?
Oh, really?
I don't know what it is. It's like,
Well, I mean, I think he was like, remember, DC Comics, those action comics, they kind of went out of vogue and they weren't popular. And then he came back. Flash is what restarted those DC Comics. Right, because you remember the original version of Flash was Jay Garrick. He was a different character. You had Superman's always kind of been the same, but even that was kind of a different style. You had all these characters were different characters. And the Flash came back and got popular again, and they reinvented all those characters. And then they did the big Earth 1, Earth 2 crossover, which basically was like, hey, we still have all these older versions of these characters. Why don't we use them in a little throwaway story? And then people once again looked at those characters like, oh, we kind of miss those characters.
yeah,
And that's what they brought back as Earth 2. Right.
Yeah.
So that's probably why, because your dad, if your dad liked comic books, he probably got reintroduced to them through that character.
Yeah, it could be. It could be very much so. I don't know if he read comic books or not. But yeah, I will go see it again with him, and I'm curious to see, because for me, movies only do one thing when I see them a second time. They either get better or get worse. They don't just remain, oh, yep, that's exactly what I remembered. You know, unless it was just something that I've seen 20 times and I'm going to see a re-release of it in the theater, then it's like, yeah, I know this movie. But if it's like I saw it in the theater and I'm about to rewatch it a second time, it only either gets better or gets worse. So I'm curious to see which direction this one goes, because No Way Home got better for me the second time, because I walked out of No Way Home kind of like, that was kind of silly at moments, but then I liked it a lot better the second time.
So to me, this movie is just a lot of empty calories. It's a lot of nothing. I mean, we talked about, this is a point I want to make. We talked about Ant-Man. We criticized the ending because it had no consequences. It's the same with this movie. You know, spoiler for those of you, by the way, don't figure that out by now.
No, but it
George
does.
Clooney showing up as Batman is not a major.
Okay, so
consequence.
that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up. So, is he Batman?
No, he's not Batman.
No. What I'm saying is I think he's in this is now in this reality that Barry has come back to, that where his mom's dead again and everything's safe. Did he come back to a reality and make it to where Bruce Wayne is not Batman? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, gotcha. I got you.
Like, because James Gunn is doing the Brave and the Bold. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he.
Andy Muschietti, by the way, the director for this is going to be the director for Brave and the Bold. Can we get some toast? Just verify that.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me because James Gunn loves this movie. And I love the It movies, but I want to see this again before I fully judge it. But I think I can say I like the It movies better than Flash. But yeah, I'm curious to see what direction they go if they do some sort of like Bruce is dead and maybe they do a prodigal run for a little bit. Maybe there's a Dick Grayson who becomes Batman, or maybe there's a John Paul Valley out there. I'm just curious because they definitely left this with
John Paul Valley. That'll sell some movie tickets.
Hey, dude, they did a Miles Morales. I mean, and at the time, John Paul Valley, when it was going on, people were loving it. It was selling.
I have to go back and look at the sales numbers because his run was what, not even a year as Batman.
Well, what I think was wrong with it, I think that everybody thought that Batman was going to be back sooner than he was because it was John Paul Valley and it wasn't there for long, and then Dick takes over. And Dick took over because John Paul Valley was getting way out of hand. He was starting to kill people and all this shit, so they had to tone him down.
And I think John Paul Valley beats his ass.
They get into a fight, and yeah, he has some fun with him, but ultimately he ends up winning because Bruce comes back. And that at the very end of that run is when Bruce is coming back. And then that's when you have Bruce in like a darker outfit for like in the 90s. And that was right around the time that the Batman was being made and all that.
No Man's Land is one of my favorite Batman runs of all time.
Oh, I love No Man's Land, dude.
Yeah.
It's so good. And yeah, that's when they were taking away the yellow symbol now. They were bringing back the old black bat, which I like that. I like that better than the yellow symbol. Don't you? Like I like this to like put on T-shirts, but like on the suit, I like the bat.
Yes. So I like the blue, gray, black bat. I like that.
I think, and look, I was excited when I was seeing the blue cape in this, the sort of bluish black cape at the beginning on Batfleck. And then when I saw his outfit, I was like, come on, yo. I didn't think his outfit looked
good. What did you think of that scene with Wonder Woman where he gets made to look like a fool?
I thought that was funny. That made me laugh. I'm not going to lie.
I thought you would hate that.
Well, I thought it was, come on, if he gets the lasso of truth on it, he's only a human. He can't outwit the lasso of truth. But I just didn't see the same Batfleck in this that I saw in the other movies where I love Batman.
That's when I thought it was Thor Love and Thunder because, like, listen, I've always complained about how Batman is written too static. But at the same time, if I'm looking at a movie from like a casual viewer, you've got these certain expectations of what you want Batman to be, right? You want to be, you visualize a stoic badass that always gets everything right. And so I think it's a mistake to make him look foolish. I just do
Yeah, I agree. But not with the lasso of truth. I think that would have been fine, but they kind of made him look foolish the whole time he was Batman.
Yeah, it's like, once again, why are you not just saying Flash to this whole thing?
Yeah. No, but I thought he also was actually very Bruce Wayne-y when he was trying to talk to Barry and telling him, hey, he's like, look, you're not a mistake. Like, I liked all that. I was like, I'm feeling Bruce Wayne here. But then when he was in the outfit, man, it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
And I love Batfleck. Like, Batfleck at his best is like that's my favorite. That's what I want. But we only got it for a stint. And not even in the greatest movies.
Okay, so what do you like better? Because you refused to talk about this movie. I called you, I said I want to do a live stream. You said no, fuck animation.
No. I have to say that Across the Spider-Verse is more well done because I just don't see any flaws in it. But it is fully animated.
It's so much better than this movie. It's not even close.
They definitely are still
better writing, better story. The only knock you can have is if you hate animation, then you can hate it for being animated. But other than that,
I said I don't have any flaws about the movie. But I always said that I do prefer real movies over animation, but half of the Flash was animated. But I liked the story in the Flash. I thought it was good. It was emotional. I enjoyed it. And then there was stakes at the end because I mean he had to ultimately decide to no, I'm not gonna try to save my mom and be selfish. I'm gonna allow, even though I saw a taste of what it would be like, I'm gonna allow that to be the way it is. And I thought that was emotional, man. I like that.
Okay, I'll give you that, but at the same time, if you're still gonna have him change time, which he did, right, and he got his dad to be free, there should be something at the end that kind of still drives home those stakes. You know, like maybe just a scene tied together with him at his mom's grave or something.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did he change the Justice League? Because I remember I was saying, is Bruce Wayne Batman? So he was talking to Aquaman in that
oh my god, one of the worst
it was bad
post-credit scenes of all time.
It was you should have heard the quiet theater after that. Even me, I looked at Andrew, I was like, that was weird.
Yeah. So stupid.
But I'm wondering because we're not going to see Cavill anymore. We know that. We're not going to Wonder Woman. That's been said that this was her last appearance. Like it's been put out there that this is it for her. That was
I introduced the real weird sexual tension between her and Batfleck then.
Well, but because it was already there in the Justice League movies, even in the Whedon.
From him, it was one sided though. This time it was like there was a little bit of, hey,
yeah, look,
see you tonight.
I didn't care for the Batman stuff in this. They could have left all that out. You know what it could have been? It could have been Alfred. Bruce he's out on something. I need you. You know, like Alfred could have been calling the Flash. I mean, like this is what you need, and then he saves everything. Like Batman just didn't need to be in it, but they were just trying to put as many characters as they could into this movie, including that last ending scene. So, look, Across the Spider-Verse is better all the way around. Technically, there's no visual problems or anything. However, I do think it's easier to make a movie that is intended to be an animated film. It's harder to see CG visual flaws in that. Whereas this one, the CG flaws are sticking out like, broken, infected sore thumbs.
Can we get some toast? Put out a funny tweet where he's like the Flash in 4 visuals, and it was like one of the dancing babies from one of the Pixar movies, and then a scene of Heimdall's son poking his face through the through whatever to talk to Thor and Thor Love and Thunder, because Barry does the same exact thing. Right. And then just a bunch of stuff like just making fun of the movie. Oh, he had the bad CGI from Scorpion King was one of the images.
That would have been funny if they would have had Scorpion King as one of the people on all the other planets.
Yeah.
Like the bad CG from that. And look, there are some silly moments and cheesy moments with Batman that I just wish they would have made him darker and everything. So look, overall, this movie wasn't the movie I was wanting it to be. Across the Spider-Verse was exactly what I expected it to be, but I expected it to be badass, just like the first one. I guess, all right, how about this? I wasn't so surprised by the Spider-Verse because it was as good as I was expecting it to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This one, there are a lot of moments that I think they nailed, which make me really love it. And I had some sort of surprise, like, oh, that was really cool how they did that. But then there are so many other moments that just immediately take you out of that feeling. You have a consistent feeling of superhero fun when you're watching Across the Spider-Verse. You know what I mean? Like when you get done with that, you feel like you just got done with a superhero movie. Whereas when you got done with this one, we're all looking at each other like, well, what the fuck was up with that post-credit scene?
Yeah, the cameos were a lot of fun Across the Spider-Verse. Now, once again, it's easier to do cameos in an animated movie because you don't have to pay an actor.
Well, but was that their voice? Was that Garfield's voice?
Well, they had the live shot from the movie of Andrew Garfield. That wasn't animated, right? They used the actual reel from the movie.
So you think that was really?
It might not have been. I thought it was at the time, but I didn't really.
I only saw it once. It's just like, unfortunately, when I see things on the big screen, it's fun and I like it on the big screen. But sometimes I feel like it's also like this. Like I do need to see it again.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that movie, so you definitely didn't take more than one viewing.
Like 300 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, it's a good movie, man, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen because obviously they pulled an Infinity War.
Dude, the kids in the movie theater were so pissed.
Oh,
They loved the movie, but when the movie ended, I didn't. So I watched it at 3, so I didn't realize there were going to be a bunch of kids there, and they were cool. They didn't cause any problems during the movie because sometimes when you get kids in the movie theater, that's exactly what happens, right? But as soon as the movie ended, I hear, "Oh man, why would they do that?"
Oh, dude, as a kid, I would have been just feeling the same way. However, the money they're going to make off the next one.
Oh my god.
I mean, every kid's going to be just clamoring at their parents as soon as that first trailer comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in a year, but then I've heard some things that there's no way it could come out in a year.
Unless they were already working on it beforehand.
Well, I hear like some of the actors they have not only have they not done voice work for it, but they don't even know when they're scheduled to do voice work for it because you got to schedule all that shit. These actors are not. Shamik Moore, who, by the way, I watched that Alamo Drafthouse, did not know he was an amazing dancer. Apparently he is. Go YouTube that for some fun. Like an amazing dancer. His schedule might be a little bit more free, but Haley Steinfeld, she's. By the way, have you seen her Rotten Tomatoes page?
Mm-mm.
She's like been in a ton of 90% above movies. I didn't know she was in Arcane. I know you never watched Arcane because you hate animation,
but I know about it, and everybody is giving it high praise.
No, Transformers.
Bumblebee. She was obviously Hawkeye. But no, she started out as a child something before Transformers.
True Grit.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Great movie.
Yeah, awesome movie. One of the best remakes out there.
Yeah.
And
because that John Wayne movie in hindsight is not that good. I mean so they changed the ending of the book for the John Wayne movie because obviously John Wayne is not going to die at the end of his movie, right?
Like Elvis,
Yeah.
Gonna kill me, man.
Exactly. But that movie was phenomenal, man. I got to go rewatch that one of these days.
Dude, that's just a testament to the Coen brothers. It's like they can do whatever, man. Like they can do comedy, they can do drama, they can do romance, they obviously can do westerns. Then they can do things like No Country for Old Men is almost a slasher horror film. He's going around the cattle prod just randomly killing people with a flip of a coin, and they can't catch him.
Yeah.
It's like
and he gets away at the end.
Yes, dude. Like those guys are badasses. And look, do I love every single thing they do? No. Some of the stuff I'm kind of okay on, but boy, when they hit, they hit.
Yeah, for sure.
Kowski, Raising Arizona, Brother Where Art. I mean, all that, dude.
Who's similar that's going currently is Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
There's a time where Christopher Nolan could not miss. Now, he has missed a little bit in recent times. I was not a big fan of Dunkirk.
Me either. And Tenet, I still don't understand it. I understand the concept, what they're going for, but I'd be lying if I fully am like, I got it.
I just find it annoying when sometimes directors, sometimes some of the things they do just annoy me. It's like M. Night Shyamalan with having to rely on water and twists. It's like, okay, at some point you evolve as a creative, right?
I agree.
But if you keep doing the same thing, it becomes tired. Christopher Nolan with his playing with time, it's like, bro, we all know it's coming. Now in Tenet, it's pretty much the whole focus of the movie.
It's
but
like
still,
he was obsessed with it in real life, so he had to make a movie about it.
Yeah, it's like okay, man, can we evolve past this? Like Dunkirk, it was obvious to me. I was like, this is not linear. I knew it as soon as like maybe within 15 minutes of the movie, I knew it. And I was like, it's not going to surprise me when I get the reveal, and I'm going to be very annoyed. And sure enough, when the reveal happened, that's not linear. I was like, of course it's not linear. God damn it, Christopher Nolan. Jesus, just make a linear movie. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, and that movie is just basically a highlight reel of amazing war scenes. And does it look cool? Yeah, but I mean, as a film, I was not invested in it at all.
Especially for us American audiences that don't know anything about this battle, it doesn't resonate with us emotionally, right?
It doesn't. And again, I think he is a great director. I am curious to see what this Oppenheimer is going to like. Obviously, I know the story of Oppenheimer, but I'm curious to what he's going to paint with this.
The trailers look amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
Right? And the story of Oppenheimer is cool because, I mean, he's a guy that changed the world through a creation that he later regretted.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, and then they vilified him for it.
Yeah, no.
They turned him into an enemy. They used him and they basically threw him away, right?
Well, and I think that, the Dr. Midnight character is loosely inspired by Oppenheimer.
Wouldn't it be awesome if that was the twist of the movies? He becomes Dr. Midnight.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Like Christopher Nolan, and then Batman shows up.
Yeah.
Because the Watchmen and the DCU, they all exist in the same universe now in the comics.
Oh, and that was so bad. That was so bad. If you saw, they just changed his whole power set. They changed his whole personality. Alan Moore's got to be fuming.
Yeah, I mean, he's already naturally fuming. I can't imagine the way he's feeling about it now. He's probably already just been like, "Fuck y'all." I think he was like that right after we wrote it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie
that was going to read this.
The movie that basically, if I recall correctly, the movie that made him fly off the handle and just made him finally say, "Screw all of you," is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Well, he has a right to say "screw all of you" because they ruined that, dude.
Yeah.
They made that they tried to make that a bubblegum popcorn kids summer movie.
Yep.
And it's such a cool story.
Yeah.
But yeah, they screwed that up, and they use Sean Connery. Come on, guys! And
God, can we have a good movie with some old horror characters? Now, it's been so long since we've had a good Dracula movie. Although Dracula Untold was not as bad as people make it out to be.
Dracula Untold.
Mm-hmm. I thought it had some cool twists to the mythology.
But it was basically showing him cursed by love and all that stuff, and basically there was someone above him that put the curse on him and all that, right?
Mm-hmm. And if you read the, I think it's they might say this in the movie. I don't remember, but I think it's Caligula. The Roman Emperor Caligula is supposed to be the older vampire.
Loves this movie, and in our top 10 vampire movies, it was on his top 10 lists.
Really? What was number one for him? Because I'm a huge Dracula stan.
I think it might be Dracula, like Bram Stoker's, because he's done that in a play and stuff. I think he just has he's got a real attachment for the Dracula story in general and all the characters. Like he's named pets after some of the characters and everything. Like when it came out, he was super stoked. We went and saw The Invitation not too long ago, and that was literally like what's cool about that movie is that you find out that some of these people are vampires and everything, but then you realize when a twist happens, you're like, oh shit, this is their take on Dracula, because then you start hearing somebody that's name is Renfield and somebody over here, and then it's just basically a modern day telling of it.
I didn't watch it, but
that from you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I guess
no, it's you start feeling it come. But what I'm saying is they just don't advertise it like that. But it's totally vampire-ish, and I'm not sure that's something that you would want to see. But I don't know what my favorite is. Is Dracula your favorite?
Yes, Dracula is my favorite vampire movie. I mean, a lot of the mythology, like the Cursed by Love thing, that's from him. That's from Francis Ford Coppola. Mm-hmm. It's like he goes after Mina in the book, but it's not because they never give any indication that's because she's a long lost love of his, right? He just sees a chick that he wants to suck her blood. Honestly, the book isn't that great, if we're going to be honest.
I've never read it.
I read it a long time ago, and I remember, and I was young, but I remember being like, yeah, it's not that good. It's got some cool elements, like it's told from this third person point of view, who's basically retelling the story through phonogram recording, and it had some cool little literary tricks that would later be copied, but it's not actually that great. It falls. I think like if he rewrote that in today's time, he would really lean into the supernatural elements, but it doesn't actually have that many supernatural elements. It's mainly focused on the Victorianism of it all.
Yeah,
Victorian lifestyle, and the characters are Victorian, and the whole courting and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, it's not necessarily so horrific as it is more of like what you're talking about.
Right, it's kind of a time period piece, right?
It's so great though,
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously, Dracula is a character that has some staying power. He can never die.
Right? Yeah. Oh, and yeah, for reals, literally.
But I mean, I wish they would be able to do something with those characters.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens when MCU comes out with their Blade movie. But God, I'm over. Look, another thing about this movie, I think if it would have been back, before the MCU had hit its peak with Endgame, when we were all still just loving this ride that we were on, I think that the Flash would have been awesome, and we would have loved it.
I can agree with that. I could agree. I think if this was phase 1, came out phase 1 Marvel time, we would have loved it. It feels like a stale superhero movie. That's a great way to put it.
Because I feel like that they're all feeling that way now. Because I think that it's stale. I think the genre's stale.
Well, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse was great. Right?
But that again,
I thought Guardians 3 was really good.
It was awesome. It was. I'm not going to.
That's why you didn't want to do a live stream on that one because. Or did we do a live stream on that one?
I think we did do a live stream on that.
Okay, yeah, we did. Yeah.
No, Guardians 3 was awesome, dude. They nailed that one. But I'm just talking. But we even said it wasn't. The Guardians have never really been a superhero group. They're more of a group of misfits that can tack along with the MCU superheroes.
It was their answer to Star Wars, but it's still a Marvel movie, right? So I think that kind of proved that what's gotten stale, what's gotten fatigued is the formula that they're milking, right?
Well, and also Caped Crusaders, I feel like have gotten stale. Let's take some other stories instead of, oh, this person who finds their powers and now they have a responsibility to do something good and stop this villain that just happens to be their long lost friend. You know what I mean? Like, let's get away from that and tell some actual cool comic book stories.
Well, comic books had to evolve and hire more adult storytellers, but then you get in that trap. Like Netflix tried to do that, but Netflix, these writers all have these little go-to plot points. Okay, we got to do a darker superhero movie. Let's do daddy issue. Let's do a daddy issue superhero. Let's make things dark and gritty, and they're dealing with some angst. And that always feels kind of stale too, because like anybody that watched Hellstrom's a great character, right? In the comics, he's like this punk rock dude, who happens to be the son of Satan. They did the Netflix show, and they made him a hipster professor with daddy issues.
Wasn't it a Hulu show?
It was a Hulu show, but it's done by the same creators that did Netflix. Gotcha. Same exact creators. So yeah, I mean that's like they have these little go-tos. They're like, okay, well, if we're gonna make it dark and gritty, we gotta do daddy issues, and we gotta have them be angsty and full of self-doubt, and their team's gotta be full of internal turmoil. It's like just make them a badass. How about that?
Yeah, these formulas. You're right, man. Just stop abiding by a template.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is these writers don't like writing these shows. And so that's why they lean on these crutches. I think She-Hulk is a great example of writers going through the motion. That whole show was written to make fun of the trolls. They didn't have any ideas for the show, but somebody sat there and said, you know what, we're going to get a lot of red pill trolls. Let's just write an entire show that the whole point of the show is make fun of them. It's terrible.
I agree. No. Anything I was enjoying about those first couple episodes of Hulk was just over. Like it's none of it. I hate those episodes now because of the show.
Yeah, it was so badly written. I think basically these writers don't like writing these shows, and they're like, how do we mail it in and just just template it out and let's just write what we need to write and get paid and get out of here. Because it's apparent when you watch these shows, when you read the dialogue, you don't see any passion behind it. There are a few examples where that is not true. For example, Damien Lindelof's Watchmen, right? You saw the passion for the source material and some of the real world elements they brought in to that source material. And you saw passion in that show.
And he was remaining an artist with something to say and using a platform to say something rather than just pleasing the masses and, like you said, looking at it as a job and let me write this and get out of here. He was the Watchmen meant something to him. Mm-hmm. He was going to create something that meant something to him
and use it as a vehicle to spread his message. And I know a lot of people hate that message, but honestly, that's what the best comic books are. And it doesn't have to be a woke message. It could be anti-woke message, whatever. There's a recent movie that you and I liked, although not a lot of people loved it. It was the Olivia Wilde movie.
Oh, Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah, that had a pro-feminist message, but I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I thought it was very well done.
And they didn't hammer you over the head with it. They didn't spell it out for you. They let you walk away from it feeling that message. But you could have taken a surface level and not looked at that message and still enjoyed it, I felt.
Right. You could have been someone that doesn't think too hard about movies and just thought that was a kind of a creepy film.
Yeah.
Or you could be like, you see the underlying tone here, huh? And again, that's the key, I think, is to deliver that message without somebody realizing they're getting the message until it's like, oh, because it was almost a twist. You know what I mean? With Don't Worry, Darling, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but not you. I'm just talking about anyone listening. But they when you see the whole of them lying in the bed and then you see the things on her eyes and all that, and you start putting the pieces together and you're like, oh, this is male control, like at
Yeah, it's
its
red pill.
deepest. Yeah. So that it's like, that was a surprise rather than you just looking at that, feeling that way the whole movie.
I feel like that was written by CW writers. They wouldn't let you see that moment and draw the conclusion to yourself. They would have. The problem with bad writers is they feel like they don't realize their audiences are intelligent. They can figure stuff out, right?
Yeah.
Through visual storytelling and through good storytelling. They have to take a step back and then spell it out for you after they show it to you. So what would have happened in a CW written show or some of these superhero shows that were getting mailed in, or She-Hulk or something, is Olivia the lead character would have woken up and be like, so basically this whole time you were just controlling me because that's all men want to do is control women. But she spelled out the whole message.
Long exposition that's useless and it's like nobody talks like that, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, just let your audience figure it out, man. And that's what I think we're getting with a lot of these superhero shows is just template writing. It's insulting your audience's intelligence. It's not diving deeper. You know, my whole problem with the ending of Batman is there should have been a consequence. Hope Van Dyne should have disappeared in that wormhole with Jonathan Majors where he could have abused her. No, I'm just kidding. But, she should have disappeared. And then that whole line he says, all the dialogue he says at the end, where there's going to be some consequences, that has some emotional weight. And the ending of the movie, you feel that weight and you want to look forward to the next movie and hope she's not dead, right? No pun intended on the name.
No, but make her dead.
Yeah.
And because make it, like you say, have stakes.
And you can always bring her back. It's a wormhole. She doesn't have to permanently die. You can bring her back in the next movie.
Part of the fun of the Guardians thing is they brought back a different one that doesn't even know him. So yeah, she's back, but it's even more painful.
Yeah, why did Infinity War slap the way it did? It's because the bad guy won at the end.
Yeah, he really did.
They were thinking about ending that movie a different way and starting the next movie with the snap. And that movie would not have been as great as it was if they'd done that.
I agree with you, man. That I could not agree more. Those two movies together as a huge look, that whole series leading up to Endgame is just a masterpiece as far as the concept and what they really achieved. Are there a couple of movies involved in there? There are, but as a whole, what they did from Iron Man to Endgame is phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they lost that. They lost that with Ant-Man. They've lost that with some of the rest of their movies. They've just decided, hey, let's just keep the money train rolling. And like I said, I think everybody that works there, maybe there's burnout. Maybe they were producing too much content. The writers are going in there every day. And listen, it's easy for me to sit here and criticize them when I'm not the one having to go in the writer's room and grind every day and write these scripts and get assigned to She-Hulk when maybe I don't love the character. Maybe I was hoping to get a different character.
Feel like a job instead of them. It was, I'm getting to go to work and write these characters every day. Maybe it's now, I got to fucking write this shit again.
Yeah, I got to write. Oh, God, we come out with this new Disney show that I don't care about. And
right.
Just mailed in. But that's what it feels like. You're missing the passion. You're missing the creative drive. You're missing the fresh new takes that we used to get from Marvel. Like Winter Soldier, still one of my favorite Marvel movies because, they took the spy movie and they made a Captain America movie and they pulled it off. We're not getting that anymore. It's just a superhero movie.
I agree, dude. Man, that whole scene on the street in Winter Soldier, dude, where they're like running back and forth to each other. And honestly, they do a lot of that in Civil War too. When like they've got Chadwick Boseman in the van and they're being chased around, and then all of a sudden people are running on the streets and Captain's running, and it's just that's the kind of stuff that felt good because it felt like they were dealing with real life and real people were around them, and the real world we know was around them. Now it's all so LED screen and CG'd and Quantum Mania, and it's just like,
yeah. And let's not even talk about how they keep trying to replace Iron Man with annoying characters like Cassie. One of the worst Marvel characters of all time. And I hate saying that to the actress. She did the best she could do with the material she was given. But it's like, okay, another misunderstood teenager who happens to be a genius. By the way, your dad's an idiot, so I don't know how you're a genius.
Right.
There must have been some other genius in your gene pool
they say
a couple generations ago.
Yeah. I don't. The whole time I was watching that movie, though, it was hard for me to just not think about the other girl that was in Endgame that played his daughter, who looks older than this girl. It just wasn't. I couldn't help but think of that the whole time. But anyways,
yeah, she was an annoying character. They also did the bad job with shoehorning Ironheart, Riri Williams into Black
Which
Panther.
loves that character, but yeah, they shoehorned her in.
Yeah, and it's like you just keep trying to replace Tony Stark, and none of these people are Robert Downey Jr.
Nope. And that's the thing. Nobody liked Iron Man, really. They liked Tony Stark, the dude in the suit.
Yep. So could giving us these boilerplate geniuses that are young and like always justifying their actions. Like when Cassie gets arrested, they should have just had her get arrested. They should have got her acting out and getting arrested and then blaming her dad. Well, you weren't here for, 2 years. You know what I went through. That's a much deeper character than, sorry, I got arrested, Dad. I was just trying to stick up for some people who are oppressed.
Like, yeah, I agree. We're coming to Disney, man.
Yeah.
It's to Disney. So, and even then, with that being said, we get a Guardians movie that has the F-bomb in it, which is the first F-bomb in any Marvel film, which was awesome.
Yeah, and the great thing about Guardians is they're all flawed characters. That's why we like them.
Yep, we can relate.
They're not perfect. They're all far from perfect.
Yeah. If anything, they have very few redeeming qualities.
Yeah. Why Thor was best in Ragnarok, not Love and Thunder, whatever they overdid, is he's still Thor, but he's got flaws now. He's an idiot. Okay, so he's not perfect,
My favorite Thor, though, is is the Thor we see in Endgame. I like that Thor.
Yeah, but once again, still an idiot.
He is, but he's more of a serious idiot.
Yeah, but he's got his dumb. Once again, he's not perfect, right? Even Captain America, they give us a shades of like, yeah, he's close to perfect, but he's also an old man in current times and doesn't understand.
Yeah, he's got
culture references. Yeah, exactly.
He wants to see the good in everyone.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're coming out with the new Captain America is about to come out. What other shows are coming out soon? Oh, Marvel's is coming out. I'm
not going to see it. I'm
Really?
not going to go see it. It just looks silly to me, dude. It looks very Disney to me. Like I just don't have any interest. I'll watch it when I get a copy of it over here. But as far as going to the theater, and I've heard bad reviews about Secret Invasion.
Yeah. These are still under the Bob Chapek regime, right? These movies were started by Bob.
These are the ones that this is the last, I think, of his stuff. I think next year's movies are going to be back on Iger's watch.
Okay. Well, hopefully they don't lose all the steam. They should just cancel some of these projects, man.
I agree, man. Well, and from what I understand, they did cancel some. The same thing with DC, but anyways, man, shit, we've been going. It's an hour and 7 now, so.
Yeah, there was one last point I wanted to make, but yeah, it looks like we've been going too long. So, well, yeah. Oh, I was going to say that Marvel's is officially on the John Wick list of movies that you won't watch. So.
No, I want to watch John Wick 4 because I have 1 through 3 and I love them. I do want to see it. It's just I'm busy.
I mean, it came out 30 years ago now at this point. So.
When it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm going to get it and watch it. I promise. I swear.
Yeah, we'll do a live stream. We'll do a live. John Wick 10 will probably be out by the time we do the live stream for John Wick 4.
When John Wick 8 Part 2 comes out.
But when Shazam 3 comes out, boy, you better believe it's that night.
I'm going to do a straight out of the theater reaction. I don't think we're seeing a Shazam
3. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, guys. Nobody joined us, but I don't blame you because we haven't been around. Hopefully, maybe
a couple people pop in and out. So, hopefully we can get some more going on. But I appreciate everybody for giving me, including Anshul, just for having to take a different turn with making some money. I was starting to go broke, so I got to work again.
Yeah. If you want to support us, though, feel free to click on some of our social medias down below. Give us a like and subscribe. And who knows when next time will be, but until next time, if life gives you lemons,
make some hot, fresh popcorns.
We out.
Peace.